Hi, I'm Shivan Sarna. Thank you for being here. My special guest is Evan Brandt. I have founded a company called Chronic Condition Rescue because back in 2015-16, there was a ton of stuff wrong with me and I didn't know what it was, but I made a vow, as so many people do, that you hear about these days and learn from, that whatever I found out, I would share with the rest of the world. It wasn't that I didn't think anyone could help me. I just knew I hadn't found them yet. So I had this innate optimism going in while I was still like super sick. It turns out I'd been working in a building that had mold. I was in that building for 20 years. And I also had food poisoning when I was 5, leading to SIBO. I had some methylation issues, fun, good stuff, Epstein-Barr virus, blah, blah, blah. And I was deeply committed to feeling better. So one of the people that I interviewed for one of the 11 summits that I have done as a result of this quest is Evan Brandt. Evan has an OG phenomenal podcast, The Evan Brandt Show, with millions and millions of downloads. He has helped tons of people get well. He's like the third opinion guy, people who have gone to the first, second, third, maybe fourth, and they end up with Evan and they're like, get it. He is an expert in functional testing. The organic acids test, known as the OAT test, the stool tests, you name it, he really gets it and really does function off of his experience, but also data. And that's why it's an honor to have him here. He's going to share with us protocol ideas that you can build yourself by participating and learning from the data that you can gather by doing these tests. I'm going to hand things over. He's got a presentation. I'm going to turn off my camera. I'm not leaving. No, I'm not. But you don't need to see me and be distracted. Evan Brandt, welcome.
Hello, Shivan. Thank you so
Hi.
much. And hey, appreciate y'all being here. Tuesday, July 8th, 2 o'clock. There's no better place than being right here because my goal for you today is to show you things that your conventional doctor will never show you. And in the last year, I've been hustling and grinding. I've been doing that for a decade now. I've been doing my podcast now for 13 years, 35 million downloads, 500 plus episodes, interviewed a lot of cool people, a lot of doctors and practitioners I look up to. But I got into the Instagram game about a year ago, and I kind of have a love-hate relationship with Instagram because you are able to reach so many people, and Instagram has aged up. And what I mean by that is, 10 years ago, it's just people in their 20s. And now Instagram is all ages. You've got people in their 40s, 50s, and 60s that are seeking health information. And how I knew that this was such an important thing to discuss functional medicine and lab testing on social media was because of this particular post right here. This is a post that I put out on my birthday, January 12th of this year. And quickly, I realized, wow, there's a huge demand for this. So this is me riding on the beach on my e-bike here, and it says, for lab test, your traditional doctor won't order that will quite literally change your life. And in this tiny video, I mean, it's like 21 seconds long, you can see here 4.7 million views, and we had 104,000 shares. Okay, so 104,000 people thought, wow, this is crazy enough information that my doctors never told me about that I need to share it. So that's quickly when I realized, oh, okay, I'm going to just go all in. And I've been pumping out videos literally every single day since then. And, since then we've reached 10 or 20 million people there. And we're finally starting to turn the tide. Now, I do still see chronic disease rising. I see anxiety, depression, chronic fatigue, autoimmune diseases, autism. All this stuff is still skyrocketing, but I believe we're getting to a point of, let's just say, awareness about these issues, that it's not all we've been taught. And so my goal today is to teach you the secrets of gut health. Now, when I say gut health, remember, your gut is the foundation for everything. So hormones, brain chemistry, amino acid deficiencies, all of your neurotransmitters, so your dopamine, your serotonin, your GABA, this all has an interplay with your microbiome. And so if there's an issue in the gut, which according to my testing, over 5,000 cases under my belt in the last decade in the practice, 80 to 90% of the people I test have some level of gut imbalance. What does that mean? That means a potential for bacterial overgrowth, candida, SIBO, okay, so that bacterial overgrowth that's in the small intestine, that's SIBO. You can have SIFO, intestinal fungal overgrowth, and then you have parasites, you have gut inflammation, you have pancreatic issues, you have gallbladder issues, right? This whole digestive cascade can fall apart, but this is really the foundation. Hippocrates was right when he said that all disease starts in the gut. Okay, and then we're obviously going to talk about why traditional approaches fail and then some effective protocols that can work. And once again, this is stuff that your traditional doctor just unfortunately won't tell you. So if you're coming in here today with anxiety, depression, chronic fatigue, low libido, 99 out of 100 women above age 40 that I test, they say they have low libido. And it's not always your husband, okay? Some of it is internal stuff. Like, yeah, it's relationships, it's this, it's kids, it's college, it's busyness, yeah, yeah. But this is a clue, right? A healthy libido is a good sign that everything else is working. Skin issues, if you're coming in here with that, weight problems, this stuff that I'm going to teach you today can fix all this. And I know that sounds bold, but I do it all day, every day. I've been in practice all day today, and we're still grinding. So, as Shivan mentioned, we'll give you the ability to test your body. We'll be able to run these labs that your doctor has no clue about. If you go to ask them, they're going to say, I have no idea what this is. We're not trained on this stuff in medical school. So if you want to find and fix your gut issues, but you're not exactly sure like where this stuff is coming from, you're in the right place. If you've tried various supplements, as Shivan mentioned, I'm the third opinion. Sometimes I'm the 23rd opinion. But if you've tried naturopaths, maybe you've even been to some MDs. A lot of these medical docs like Mark Hyman, they're promoting this more functional medicine ideology. But when you look at what they're doing, it's actually not that functional after all. In fact, he's just promoting this big blood testing panel, but it's not the functional labs. And so blood testing is not enough. You really need the stuff I'm going to teach you about today. Maybe you've actually been to a functional practitioner, but you just haven't fixed your issues yet. You're in the right place. And this is because I suffered so much. Like I had IBS for 20 years. I went to so many different doctors and I did not want to take acid blocking medications. I knew based on my training that stomach acid is beneficial. Why would I want to reduce my stomach acid? I feel better when I take acid. I feel better when I take enzymes. Why the heck would I go down that route? We now know that long-term PPIs, okay, these are proton pump inhibitors, these acid blocking medications that are passed out like candy, and now the over the counter, right? You can go to Target today and you can go buy your kombucha and your strawberries, and then you can go buy some Zantac and take it home with you and destroy your stomach acid. And when you do that, you're creating worse SIBO because now instead of your food digesting well, your food is fermenting in the gut, feeding these bacteria. And so I knew quickly conventional medicine wasn't going to fix me. I've got my board certification in holistic nutrition, so I do implement a lot of food as medicine. But what I really dive into and specialize in are the functional labs. And according to the labs, which I do a couple of lectures to the labs each year to train doctors, I'm in the top 10 worldwide of running the most functional labs on planet Earth. So that's pretty cool. Now, I told you a little bit of my story. I won't bore you with it, but I just wanted to be able to travel without being afraid. I was thinking, okay, where's the bathroom? What am I going to eat? I know if I eat this, I'm going to have this bad reaction. And so that was really my thing. It's like all these food sensitivities and food reactions. I wanted to help my wife as well. She had full head to toe rash. Dermatologist couldn't figure it out. So that was really my personal story of getting into this. But what I'll show you today is about some protocols, even if you've tried other people's protocols before, even if you don't have a huge budget for tons of lab testing, I promise this is cheaper than a new iPhone. Even if you feel like you'll never get better, I promise you can. Even if you're not certified in health, you're like, hey, look, I'm just a health seeker. Even if you're busy and tired, which as a dad of three, I'm a little bit of both of those. Okay, so the gut, skin, brain axis. I'm sure you've heard of this, but if you address what's happening in the microbiome, all of a sudden your psoriasis, your eczema, whatever skin condition you have that you're paying a dermatologist to prescribe antibiotics and topical steroids for, it's likely coming from your gut. Just like the neurology appointment for the brain fog, the dizziness, the vertigo. I was so dizzy, I could not drive a car for 2 years. It was embarrassing. I felt like a loser. My wife was carting me around. I felt pathetic. I'm like, why am I even on this planet? Because I can't even drive a car. This is ridiculous. Turned out I had major mold toxicity. But the point here is that because of the issues in my gut, because of the mold exposure that I had, my brain was a mess. I had constant vertigo. And if you've had that, you'll understand it's the worst. You wouldn't wish it upon anyone. So here's just a couple of papers just to make sure you know that this is legit. We know 70% of the immune system is in the gut. We know that 50%, okay, so that's half of people with anxiety or depression, guess what? They've got gut dysbiosis. Did your psychiatrist, before they prescribed Lexapro, before they prescribed XYZ antidepressant, anti-anxiety med, potentially a benzodiazepine with terrible side effects and terrible withdrawal and addiction potential, did they ever once say, hey, we should look in your gut for dysbiosis? Well, literature shows half of the cases of these mental health conditions are related to the gut dysbiosis. And then how about this one? Mold toxin, aka mycotoxins, disrupts the gut brain skin axis. And this is why people have POTS. This is why they have sears. This is why they have chronic inflammation that's driving vision, sleep, hormone, infertility issues. Mold is a huge missing link. And so if you've had mold exposure, even years ago, this could be what I call the missing link. And once again, conventional medicine, what are they going to do? They're going to give you a skin cream. Here you go, Sally. Here's your acid blocker. Here's your blood pressure med. Here's your antidepressant. And before you know it, you're on 4 or 5 meds, and you've never got to the root cause. So here's some common symptoms from these issues: gas, fatigue, hormonal imbalances. I know a lot of people throw around that term, hormonal imbalances. What does that mean? If you've got hot flashes, if you have mood swings, if you have libido swings, if you have energy swings, if you have bloating, that's related. Skin issues, anxiety, poor sleep, brain fog, all these things are connected. I know you may think, I got to go to the gastro for this. I'm going to go to the dermatologist for this. I'm going to go to the hormone specialist for this. Here's the problem. Even in natural medicine, most people are too zoomed in, meaning you go to the biological hormone person, sure, they can give you progesterone and testosterone, but is that going to fix the dysbiosis? Is that going to fix the mold driving the dysbiosis and hormone imbalances? No, it won't. So I call it the lab gap. And really what's happening is that conventional tests are missing the mold. They're missing the parasites. And so by using the advanced labs that I'll show you today, like the GI map, the O mycotoxins, you can find what's actually going on. And then we can use nutrition, we can use lifestyle strategies to rebuild the gut lining, get the inflammation down so that you can actually heal. So hopefully some of these graphics here are familiar. If not, then welcome. You're in the right spot. So strategy 1, get the proper at home. Okay, you don't have to go get blood. Blood's not very helpful for this stuff, but get the proper at home functional medicine labs. Now, the goal is if you find bacterial overgrowth, we'll fix it. If you find candida, we can fix it. Parasites, H. pylori, which 51% of the world population has. So half of you in this room right now have H. pylori. What is that? It's a bacteria that it damages the parietal cells. The parietal cells are what make stomach acid. So when we talk reflux, burping, gas, bloating, that is coming from this infection, which I had. My wife had it. My oldest daughter had it as well. Okay, so that's really the whole magic is just seeing what you're up against first. And then strategy 2 is the environmental connection. Now, this is a little bit of a tangent, but we need to do this. In this box here, these are the top toxins in your home keeping you sick. And I want you to just be honest with yourself. Yes, I've got them. And if you do, I'm not judging you. But if you want to be fully healthy, if you want to reduce your risk of cancer, if you want to improve your neurological health, if you want to not disrupt your hormones, you have to get this stuff out. That would include scented laundry products. Okay, so anybody in here still using the orange bottle of Tide, holy smokes, get rid of it. Don't even finish it out. Oh, Evan, I'll switch when I finish it. No. That's like, oh, let me finish this last shot of tequila before I stop drinking. No. You got to get rid of it, okay? So you can go free and clear. You can go unscented. That's the goal. Next, candles. Not good. Now, I do have a candle on my desk, okay? Now, but this is a candle I manufacture, and this is lime, lemon, grapefruit, and tangerine oil designed to help with candida and mold. So those are safe. But your average Bath and Body Works, that stuff, scented candles, not good. Dryer sheets, no way. Just use wool balls. You can buy them on Amazon. Scented deodorant, you got to be careful. Excess humidity in your house, that's a problem. You need to be below 60%. You can go on Amazon. You can buy a hygrometer for $8. Mine is mounted. I have 2. I have one on my fridge tracks the humidity on the main floor, and then I have one upstairs that tracks the humidity upstairs. You want to be 60% max, okay? And you may need whole house dehumidifiers to get rid of your excess humidity. And you're like, Evan, why are you on this tangent? Well, because to fully heal your gut, your environment has to be clean. So now we're back to scented garbage bags. Disgusting. Synthetic fibers in your clothing and bedding. New paper just came out a few months ago about the impact on hormones and fertility from synthetic fibers. We're talking your Lululemon, your, skin tight leggings that you wear to Pilates class, right? That stuff is terrible. And in fact, I have a close friend here. She had a miscarriage. Her whole brand is being a fitness influencer. She's wearing all these fake clothes 24/7. I'm like, look, if you want me to help you, you have to get rid of this stuff. You got to go to cotton. This is a 100% linen shirt. I've got 100% cotton pants on. And let me show you, you're going to be jealous, leather slippers with sheep's wool. So like you don't want to have any synthetic stuff in your house. So if you can get rid of it, do it. Donate it. Just toast. Okay, air fresheners in your car. Hopefully you're not doing those little trees. It's not good. And then a lack of ventilation. So you got to open your windows and doors. You just don't want to do it 24/7. I just had a client earlier in India, and he said, Evan, he said, it's 88% humidity outside, and we leave our windows and doors open all day. So I'm like, wow, that's crazy. You got to eventually shut the fresh air up. You can't just have fresh air forever if it's that humid. Okay. So what you can do if you're like struggling with your health, you're like, okay, I've took this probiotic, I've dialed in my diet. What else is there? It's this right here. This is a test report of a girl that I was working with, a young girl, young child. I think she was 7 or 8 years old. She was very ill. And this is a Petri dish test, which is a good test for the money. There's other tests out there like the ERMI, the Hurts Me. There's several other mold test companies out there. But for the price, this is hard to beat. And these numbers represent how many colonies of mold are growing in this particular environment. For you to heal, I would suspect most people need to be at around a 5 or below. You can see here her room was at a 40. This girl was not going to heal no matter how good her protocol was. So yes, I'm really good at what I do, but no, I cannot fix someone's health if this is what their bedroom looks like. It was a terrible situation. Luckily, they remediated it and she was able to get better. But my goodness, that is how your environment is affecting your gut, your mood, your skin, your sleep, your hormones. It cannot be ignored. And once again, let me just go back to this for a second. Yes, this was a current day exposure. We found it. It was going on current day. However, if you're watching and you're 30, 40, 50, 60, 70 beyond, and you're like, hey, I grew up in a house that flooded. I had water damage 20 years ago. Meh. No, not meh. This is real. If genetically you don't detox this stuff well, you can hold on to this and it will be a multi-generational problem. In fact, I've tested many grandmother, daughter, granddaughter. They pass the same toxins through the placenta and through breast milk over the generations. So theoretically, and I don't even say theoretically anymore because I've got enough clinical experience to prove it, your mother could have gave you mold toxicity from being before you even born, like in utero, through the placenta, you could have had mycotoxin transfer. And then, of course, if you grew up in it, so yes, 30, 40 years ago, does it matter? Yes, it does. Okay, so strategy 3. So you've got the testing down, and I'm going to show you some of that in a minute. But then what about a protocol? What does that actually look like? Because when you go on the internet, when you go on social media, it's like every 6 months, there's this new magic supplement. It's colostrum. It's this special probiotic. It's this special enzyme. It's this special XYZ, like fill in the blank. And is it true that these items can probably help you and not hurt you? Yes. But are they root cause? And are they actually based on your specific labs? Or is it just a crapshoot? You're just throwing it and see if it sticks. I would argue it's that one. Now, when I'm building out protocol, sometimes it looks like this. Like this is a generic phase 1, phase 2. Okay, it can be way more specific, but just for today's call, we're just going to make it this simple. We're typically addressing the digestive enzyme and HCl deficiency out of the gate. We're opening the drainage pathways. We're getting people hydrated. We're getting people pooping every day. I don't care how fancy your protocol is with a doctor. If you're not pooping every day, it's not going to work. Adding in organic nutrient dense foods, getting away from glyphosate and other pesticide residue that we know damages the good bacteria in the gut. We're balancing out the microbiome, meaning if there's infections, we're going to use herbs to fix those. We're improving detoxification, potentially using binders, medicinal mushrooms, milk thistle, glutathione, NAC, precursors. And then what should happen? Well, you should get more energy and a better mood and less GI distress right out of the gate. So if a practitioner says, you know what, you just need to keep pushing forward. You feel terrible, just keep going. They're wrong. Leave. It's not going to work. You gotta pace yourself with the body, especially if you've been sick for decades. So then phase two, well, we might add in biofilm support. We might rotate some of the microbial supports. We might use gut healing remedies. Now that we've cleared infections, let's rebuild your gut. Let's reseed your gut. And then sometimes let's look deeper. Or maybe we have to retest if we're scratching our head. Like, did we clear all the parasites? So that's typically how it works. So let's dive in. So GI map, my favorite test. I've run thousands. They should have me on the board or put me on salary at this point because I'm just giving them so much free advertising. But it's a good lab. So what you'll see here is C. diff. Now, C. diff is a Clostridia infection. It kills 30,000 people per year in this country. And conventional gastroenterologists are freaking out because this infection has become extremely resistant to antibiotics, meaning they'll pump you with this one, doesn't kill it. Hit you with that one, doesn't work. Hit you with another one, doesn't work. Luckily, with herbs, herbal antimicrobials, which I get so much hate. There was a post the other day that went viral. I think it was on Instagram. Might have been TikTok. I can't keep up. But there was a post about the issue of antibiotic resistant infections. And it was this big list of staph and strep and C. diff. And it was all these doctors commenting about how, oh, we can't beat this in the hospital. And so I just left a little comment on that post. And it said, luckily we have herbal antibiotics. And the amount of hate that I got on that was comical. I'm so used to it because I've been in the internet space for over a decade now. So I can just kind of blow it off and know that what I'm doing is helping people. And I've got before and after lab results to show that it works. But all these people were like, you're the reason for sepsis. You're the reason people are dying. Shame on you. Like there were so many shame comments.
I'm so sorry. I just
That's
wanted to
okay.
say I'm so sorry. I
Oh,
know
that's
you're
okay.
used to it, but still, that's
I
crap.
know. Isn't it wild? So, this happens. People are so happy to throw out shade and shame. And there's still a percentage of the population that's like natural medicine is hocus pocus witchcraft, right? And so that's kind of the people that I attracted. But the point of this is to say that the CDC has already said we're in the post antibiotic era. And what they meant by that is that the typical antibiotics from the 50s, 60s, and beyond are not working anymore. And we need a new strategy. Luckily, I've been doing this strategy for over a decade now, and it works. These infections can be cleared. Okay, so here's Blasto. You'll see it at the top. Blastocystis hominis. I just did a video about this a few days ago that people loved. It was me scooping it was funny. I went down to the bay with my wife. I'm like, okay, here's my video idea for the day. And she always laughs at my ideas. I'm going to take this glass, I'm going to scoop some water up in it, and then we're going to put some text on screen that talks about parasites. And it got like 200,000 views overnight. I was like, okay, that's funny. I'm glad people liked it. But here's the point.
Hey, Evan, are you still sharing your screen or did I
Oh,
lose the
yeah,
plot?
let me pull it back up.
Okay.
Thank you. Okay, so here's Blasto. Okay, so here's what I'm talking about right here. So this is a parasite that is in fresh water. So like most people, hopefully in the summertime, you're out, you're on the lake, you're in the creeks, you're in the rivers, you're out playing in the water. However, you do get exposed to these pathogens, and Blasto was one of those parasites. I had several different parasites years ago. It screwed me up. I didn't have Blasto, I had Giardia and Crypto, which we can also test for. But I just want to show you how these cases break down. So here is leaky gut. So many people throw around the term leaky gut. This also makes doctors mad, but leaky gut is a real term. It's in PubMed. You can also call it intestinal permeability. Gastrodocs are finally starting to use the term leaky gut, but some still hate the term. Either way, it's real. And how we can identify that is by secretory IgA. We can also do a marker called zonulin on the GI, and then we can look at intestinal inflammation, which as you see in the bottom here, it's called calprotectin. This person was a 185, which is a lot of gut inflammation because of the Clostridia, because of the parasites. Now, This is very valuable information because now we know, okay, there's parasites, there's bacteria, the gut barrier is compromised, and there's lots of inflammation. We can then build a protocol to fix those issues. But but wait, there's more, okay? So the organic acids test, introducing the oat. Now, what are you looking at? You're looking at a bunch of crazy bars and lines and H's, and what the heck are you seeing? So I made sure my team made it as bold as possible. So these giant red arrows, okay, right here. This is the make it or break it for your health recovery in the modern world. And what I mean by that is these markers here. And I'm going to make it a little bigger. I'm going to zoom in just a hair. Okay. So on the top left here, long word. You can say it with me. Hydroxymethyl 2-feroic acid. Okay, this is a 358. It's supposed to be less than 28. That's a big problem. But there's more. Furan, 2,5. Dicarbolic acid. Wow. Tartaric acid. Uh-oh. Arabinose, 100 points high. What the heck does this mean? Well, this is saying not only do we have aspergillus, meaning this person was exposed to a water damaged building, they were exposed to aspergillus mold, but now they're colonized. They actually have a fungal problem. They have a fungal colonization in their gut and probably their sinuses as well, because how do you get exposed to mold? You breathe it in. And then number 7, arabinose, that's candida. So I did a candida summit years ago. I guess it was almost a decade ago. I interviewed 30 experts on candida and tried to get the nitty gritty on it. And back then, I don't think anyone was talking about what I've discovered, which is that mold drives candida more than anything. And so I would have these people that say, hey, my naturopath put me on oregano oil, or my doctor put me on nystatin or diflucan. And the candida got better, but I still have a white coating on my tongue, and the candida came back. What the heck do I do? Well, turns out all those people, they have mold. And because of all this mold right here, it's going to drive up the candida. So let me say it in a different way. No matter how hard you try to beat candida, if you've got an oat test that looks like this, which you absolutely need to rule this stuff in or out, that is going to be the make it or break it for you. And this is why we have a massive increase in cancer. There's links between mold and autism. There's links between mold and infertility, mold and depression, mold and suicide, mold and anxiety. This, to me, is one of the biggest smoking guns, biggest epidemic in this country right now is mold toxicity. How do I know? Because I've tested 5,000 people, and there's so many people that look like this on paper. Now let's move on. I mean, there's a ton of data there, right? But let's move on, look at even more stuff. Here's your SIBO right here. Here's bacterial overgrowth. Hydroxyphenylacetic, hydroxybenzoic, hydroxyapuric. These are acids that are produced by bacteria, okay? So when you pee in the cup, so simple, no blood required. When you pee in the cup, you're spitting out these acids. The lab looks at it, goes, yep, that's bacteria. And then you can test Clostridia down here at the bottom. Okay, so that's gut test number 2. So number 1 is the GI. Number 2, the OAT. And the OAT is something that you can do. You send the lab back. It's just urine. And then 2 weeks or so, you get the results. So pretty dang amazing. Now, we could do a myco. We don't have to. But a mycotoxin screen is something, and this is, they've changed the reporting. The report looks a little different now. But for this case, I wanted to keep all the labs uniform from the same person just to kind of build the case for you. But ochratoxin is what is made by aspergillus. So if you remember, right here we're talking aspergillus. Well, aspergillus, see it at the top right here. Boom. Okay, so aspergillus is the mold. The mold fart that you breathe in is ochratoxin. And that's why I was so dizzy I couldn't drive, because ochratoxin affects the cerebellum. Now, we don't have to spend a ton of time on this today, but there is the possibility of you having Borrelia, aka Lyme, like this person, Babesia, Bartonella, ehrlichiosis, Anaplasma. There's a ton of infections that come from mosquitoes, spiders, fleas, lice. So if you ever get a pet, let's say you're rescuing animals, right? I rescued a cat one time on the side of the road, looked like it was dying, stuck in a ditch. I grabbed the cat. That cat had so many fleas. Those fleas were jumping all over me. I probably got Bartonella from that. And Bartonella can cause a lot of weird symptoms that look like mold. So why I'm bringing this up is because we may have to look deeper. It's a little more money, but we can do it. But you may want to rule this stuff in or out, because these yellows here in this case, these are all positives. And Bartonella can cause anxiety, depression, chronic fatigue, dizziness, headaches, irritability, chemical sensitivity. So this is something I look at a lot too, and I've used so many different protocols, but it's all herbal to fix this stuff. So remember, petri dishes are a piece of the puzzle. We got to get that done. And then this is how a protocol can be built out. So in this particular female, I'm saying mold toxicity is number one priority. How do we fix that? It's binders, it's antioxidants, it's probiotics, it's getting her in the sauna, it's using antifungals. And then what about the anxiety, depression, insomnia? How do you fix that? Well, calming adaptogens, amino acids. What about the mitochondrial damage? She was so tired she could barely exercise. And she would crash afterwards. Well, that's mitochondrial damage, and that's adrenal and liver support needs. So we can help with that. And then what about the yeast and what about the bacteria? Well, once again, probiotics, antimicrobials. So that's how these protocols can be built out. It's not complex. It's not 20 supplements. It's maybe 5, 6 supplements. So I want to pull up my thumbnails. I might have another protocol sheet that I wanted to show you. And then I'm going to talk to you about Better Belly, which is a discounted way for me to get these labs to you all. Yeah, I thought I had a slide for the actual dosing where I show you the supplements and all that, but this is a good visual anyway, which is the binders. Some people talk about charcoal. That's good, but here's the thing with activated charcoal. It only works on certain mold toxins. So when you go back to this one here, activated charcoal is going to work really good for ochre toxin, but if you've got aflatoxin, if you've got steric you've got mycophenolic acid, you've got roridan, which comes from Stachybotrys, which is black mold, charcoal's not enough. And so this is why you have to do more than just charcoal. And so when you look at this here, I'm referencing binders. That could be 3 or 4 or 5 different binders all combined into one capsule. And this may take years. So I don't want to like be the rain on your parade here, but if you bought some random supplement on Amazon, let's say a probiotic or maybe charcoal pills, and you took it for a month and you're thinking, Evan, I'm not better. Why am I not better? If you've been sick for a decade, assume it's going to take you 1 year to get better. So let me say it in another way. For every decade you've been ill, assume a year of protocol treatment to get better. So if you've been sick 20 years, 2 years to get better. So I just want to set kind of timeline, realistic expectations for you because I wish it were overnight, but we are talking reversing lots and lots of damage to the liver, the adrenals, the kidneys, the brain, you name it. Mycotoxins in particular are systemic. It literally affects the entire body. And I think all of you have the potential to heal, but not without the data. So introducing the Better Belly. And what I want to do is show you all actual protocols before and after case studies and then give you the opportunity to chat with me every 2 weeks. I launched a group, a functional medicine group. I want to say it's been maybe a year. Honestly, the way time flies and with having 3 kids and seeing so many people a week, it's hard to keep up with time. It just feels like a blur. But within the last 6 to 12 months, I added a live call component because Shivan and I have been chatting for years. We've been working together for years, but I wanted to add more touch points for me because I didn't want to leave people hanging and I didn't want people to fall through the cracks. And so now what I'm doing is I'm giving people the opportunity to chat with me every 2 weeks in a group setting. And that's where I'm teaching you the following. I'm teaching you how to identify and eliminate your issues. So we're removing infections, removing toxins, rebuilding the gut lining and supporting your digestive function, rebalancing and clearing out any what are called inflammatory or autoimmune triggering bacteria because people with Hashimoto's, people with Sjogren's, people with MS, people with lupus, that is due to an imbalance in the gut. There's a whole section on page 3 of the GI that looks at what are called autoimmune and inflammatory triggering bacteria. We have to rebalance that. And then restoring. We've got to get the detoxification and the drainage working. We've got to get your circadian rhythm working. You can't go to bed after watching a murder mystery. We got to get you to calm down and rebuild your nervous system health. A friend of mine, Dr. Margaret Christensen, she's an OBGYN. She had to close her practice. I think she's got somewhat of a kind of a biohacker studio now in Texas where you can do a sauna and stuff. But anyway, she told me years ago when we did the Toxic Mold Summit together. She said, Evan, if you don't address your nervous system, you're never going to get better. And I ignored her because I was just, I don't know, stubborn, right? Naive. You don't know what you don't know. And I thought, you know what? I'm going to detox my way out of this. My bowels are better. I've got binders. I've got all the stuff. But I ignored this right here, this big thing in between my ears. And I just assumed that if I push harder and if I just push, and grind and get through it and go, that I was going to heal. And I had to get miserable enough to really hear that echo of her voice in my head to go, yeah, she's right. It is the nervous system. And so that's what I try to implement and help everyone through. And it's been huge because the perfect protocol won't work if you're stuck in fight or flight. So I want to help you to beat that fight or flight nervous system response. So what makes what I'm doing different is you're not following generic advice. There's a guy out there who's pretty popular. He's a chiropractor. His name rhymes with Rampa. And a lot of people email me every week because they see him and I together in regards to summits and talks. And we both talk about detox and all that. People say, how is, Rampa different than what you're doing? And I'm not giving you anything generic. I am doing an N equals one, meaning I am looking at your specific lab and then I'm actually building a protocol for you specifically. So there is no just printout that you're going to get from me. I'm actually going to look at every single marker with you and go, hey, number 7 is your candida. Number 3 is your fungal infection. Here's what you need. And so that's why I'm doing things differently, because I don't want you to feel like a number. You're a special person and your issues are special and they're unique to you. And so I can't, hey, that'd be so easy for me to scale up, right? Everyone buy this, follow this, do this. Hooray. I'm going to go sit back and eat pineapple on the beach and like have people fan me with palm leaves. That'd be cool, but it's not realistic. And so I'm in the trenches because that's what it requires to actually get you better. And you'll use all the same tools I'm using in my one-on-one practice. So this is my proven system. It's step 1, we're identify and eliminate infections. So that's where we have to look at the GI. We can add a mold test if you want, but primarily we're focusing on the oat because we can see mold on the oat. We can look at your oxalate levels, figure out why you've had kidney stones. We can look at your neurotransmitter imbalances and figure out why you've had depression. Why are you struggling in the morning? Why is it so hard for you to get up and get going? Like if you're that person who says, don't talk to me till I've had my coffee, there's a reason for that. And it's probably your neurotransmitters, which are identified on the oat. And then step 2, that's where we rebuild. And that's where we start to get the gut better. We just have to clear the bugs that are messing it up. So it's a quite simple process. Maybe it sounds complex to you seeing it for the first time, but this is how it works. So step 3, maybe that's where we're adding in specific probiotics. Maybe we're doing prebiotics. Maybe we're giving you some ferments. And then step 4, that's when we're pulling stuff out. We've got the liver supported. We've got the bile supported. We've got your sleep hygiene better. We've got your cortisol rhythm straightened out. We're getting your nervous system better. So this is how it works. And then inside of Better Belly, you've got a ton of modules, meaning, yes, you're going to get live calls with me. Yes, I'm going to build you a custom protocol based on the labs you looked at today. But you also have somewhere in the ballpark of 70 lessons to dive into right away, where I'll teach you more about your GI system dysfunction, IBS, candida, how to add in HCl and enzymes, how to wean off acid blockers, how to follow a low histamine plan. So there's nutrition sheets that I want you to have. SIBO and SIFO, and then also how did the virus, the spike protein, how is that affecting our gut? Hint, it's a big deal. Parasites and worms. And there's a ton of case studies. So yeah, it's a whole deal. But Shivan, I'll let you chime in. Let me know how I'm doing so far. You playing with your kitty? All right, just kidding. So here's what you get. Audio, you get video, you get before and after test results, and then you get the actual labs that you need on yourself. Okay, so here's what you're going to achieve by the end. You're going to create and implement a protocol that's helped you to fix the root cause of your issues. And then obviously I can help your friends, I can help your kids, your grandkids, like I can help those people too. And I'll show you some case studies. So here's a girl fixed her skin by fixing her gut. Incredible. And I've got some testimonials, but I want Shivan to chime in for a minute and then we'll look at
Okay.
some stuff.
Yeah. Do you do the course at your own pace?
Yeah, it's all self-paced. There's no expiration or anything to that. Like when you're in there, you just go in. There's no particular order either. Some people
That's
jump
nice.
straight to module 7 because they have parasites. Some people go straight to module 2 because they've got IBS.
Can you show, did you already show the nice slide that I told you that I liked so much? Or
Yeah, that's at the end. Let's do that.
can
Can
we
I show
talk
you
about
this
that? Just,
testimonial real quick?
yeah, yeah.
Okay, so let me show you this. So this is a this mom here. She's an influencer in Panama. She's got hundreds of thousands of followers, and now I'm famous in Panama, and so that's cool. And this was a private Instagram message that she gave us permission to share. And so I just wanted to share this with you all because it's pretty amazing. So she said here, after a year with you and your team, my son, who was unable to walk well, he had low muscle tone, irritability, anger, pain, mood swings. He was nonverbal, no eye contact, unable to ride a bike. She sent a bunch of videos now. Now he's riding, skating, talking, doing math, having friends. Our specialists in Panama are so impressed. He no longer qualifies in the ASD, autism spectrum. So my words fall short to thank you. Uh, I thought we were going to have positive changes, but never thought our son would leave the diagnosis of autism behind. I can barely read that without tearing up. I get goosebumps.
You.
It's just amazing because this kid is so bright, and
It's
his
amazing.
brightness was covered up by toxicity. And when I was able to clear that, he is succeeding. I mean, she sent me videos of this dude on a scooter. He's ripping it on the bike. Like, that's insane because in conventional medicine and even around town, you'll see these bumper stickers or you'll see these license plates that say awareness, right?
Yeah, right.
Awareness is not good enough. So yeah, so there's that. But let me jump ahead, Siobhan, to that
Okay.
slide.
Because a lot of people are asking, like, how exactly does this work?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So here's the deal. Because we're doing this in more of a bulk fashion, because we have more of you all here, and because we know that we can help more people, I'm able to discount the labs to where we essentially break even on the labs just to get these in your hands. I just want you to get the data. I've got a one-on-one practice, but this is where the magic happens for people that have never been able to see this stuff on themselves before, and they don't have a huge budget to do it, but they want to see what the heck is under the hood. This is the way we've been able to do it. And so you will save thousands of dollars doing it this way as opposed to the one-on-one practice. Now, just disclaimer, if you're super, super sick, you've got 378 symptoms and you're very high maintenance, do a one-on-one call with me, please. I'll be happy to help. But for those that can follow my guidance, join me on a live call where I'll review your labs and build a protocol, and you're a pretty good person who can like follow some instructions. This is for you. And Shivan is hooking you guys up insanely because you get 20% off an already insane deal where I can get you the oat test, I can get you the GI map, you get twice a month group calls with me live in the flesh. You get access to our community, which we've built out in the last few months. It's incredible. People are chatting back and forth. Here's my results. My gut's so much better. So you're in the community.
Great.
And then you get access to 2 of my courses, which, by the way, we've sold these courses for this much and more with no labs, which is called
Yeah.
Better Belly and Sick Building Solutions, which is a course that teaches you how to get all the toxins out of your home. So the courses are really now just a bonus.
Oh,
Really
nice.
what you're
Okay.
getting is you're getting access to me in terms of building a protocol on these live calls, and you're getting these labs, and those are mailed to your house. You send
Okay.
those back using the envelopes, no extra shipping charges. Just call FedEx, hey, come get my poop. They'll take it, get it back to the lab 2 to 3 weeks for results, and then boom, we'll jump on the call. And then of course you're getting 20% off of this one.
Right, when you use code Shivan. So then you get on the group calls. But if you want to do the annual, which you can see the pricing right there, you get the annual claims to an oat and GI map kit for deeper. So that's what he's already talked about. Twice a month group calls, same as the other. Access to Evan's exclusive community, just like that. You also get a 30-minute one-on-one call with Evan to personalize your journey, which is excellent. And then access to those 2 bonuses. So what else do you get annually for that? That goes for a whole year, right?
That's right. And then that'll renew, and then you'll get more labs. So typically we retest every year, depending on the issue. If there's a crisis, we'll retest sooner. But yes. And in terms of your monthly fee, it's way cheaper. You're saving it's in the ballpark of $500 to do the annual plan. You're not obligated. If you just want to get your feet
I
wet,
understand.
then you could just do 997. You get all your labs, and then you're getting into the group. And then there's an ongoing It's $197 that people pay to stay part of the membership. So if you're like, hey, I'm loving this, I want to keep rolling, then you can stay as long as you want. So this is just your upfront fee, and that gets you your labs, that gets you access to the course right
Right.
away. That's your first month membership right away. That's your
Right.
2 calls per month with me right away.
For
And then,
1 month. For
that's
one
right.
month. Right. So just to clarify, if you go back one slide, because it kind of made it look like you get to go every month on the left-hand side. See where it says twice a month group calls? It's really twice a month group call for the $997 included. If you want to add the annual or do the annual and meet once a month for those group calls, then it's the $1997. So hey, Evan, can someone do the $997, go to the first month of group calls and be like, I'm in, I want to upgrade?
They can, absolutely.
Okay.
Most people, we've had a few do the annual plan. I will say most people are just doing the monthly plan because it's cheaper. It's just
Yeah.
cheaper up front for
Up
them.
front. So it's
Yeah.
$997. You get all that. You get 1 month access to the 2 a month group call. And then
Yep.
going forward, it's $197 a month to
That's right.
continue with access and the group calls. Okay. But the
That's
cool
right.
thing about the upfront, if you can pull that off, is you get the 30-minute one-on-one call with Evan. So that's like a bonus for like paying upfront. Okay.
Yes.
Okay,
That's right.
cool. Okay,
That's right.
Marianne,
And
that
then
should
there's
answer
the
the question.
link, and then I'm sure you'll be able to put the link in the chat for
It's already
folks.
in the chat.
Good.
Yep.
Make sure you use the code. That way you can get the
20%
discount.
off.
And then I believe you're throwing in a summit as well.
I am. So we have the IBS and SIBO Rescue Summit, which is a phenomenal, one of my favorite summits that I've done about gut health. And it's not just IBS and SIBO, it's all, gut issues. And if you order, actually, if you order, you're getting that. And Evan's team will send that to you. So that's one of the 11 that I've done. It's super special. And if you order by 8 p.m. tonight, then you get Evan's slides as well. So there's an 8 p.m. deadline if you want the slides from today. Let me ask you so is it $997 before or after the 20% off? It is $997 before. Because
That's right.
if you look in the chat, it's we did the math, I hope it's right. It's $797.60.
Yeah, let's pull it up. Here, let me do this,
Okay.
Shivan, to make it easy for folks. So here's the
Okay.
page that you'll get to.
Okay, great.
And you can click in here, which, by the way, I don't do collabs or sales with anyone else. This is like a exclusive deal for Shivan. And that's not just a marketing term. That's
Like he really doesn't.
like I really don't do that. So you'll see here, you put in Shivan and then boom, you're $797.60. That includes all your lab testing as well as the first month. And then as you see here, additional charges in the future, it's $197, which I pay over $600 a month for my family's insurance, and it does absolutely nothing for me. I'm giving you guidance every 2 weeks. We have an incredible time. It is such a party. And I have my Oura ring. So I wear the Oura ring, which is pretty cool. So the Oura ring, for folks that don't know, this is it doubles as my wedding ring, but it measures your heart rate. It measures your stress. It measures your sleep, how much sleep you get, yada, yada. Every time I do a group call, I go from starting the morning in the clinic stressed to relaxed. So for the 2 hours that we're together, it's about 2 hours before we all turn to pumpkins, but the 2 hour group call, my stress level just plummets because we're all chatting. And it's not even this. People are coming on. Hey, Evan, here's what happened. I'm so happy. I got my mom involved, my dad, my brother. And so it's just a party. And so that's
community.
it's
the
fun.
best part.
It's
That's
good
awesome.
stuff. Yeah.
Okay, I've got some questions to ask you in the Q&A, and here we go. How long does it take? So this isn't medical advice. Evan's not your doctor. And if you've been sick since the 70s, it's going to take you longer to heal, one would think, than if it was just like last week. Okay. But on the other hand, once you find the key to the lock, you can often be shocked at how fast, especially if you've been waiting that long. Okay. How long does it take for the gut to heal? I have been working with a functional medicine doctor and dietitians for 15 months. I've been taking the prescribed supplements and I do not notice a difference. I do think my gut has been damaged since the age of 9, C. diff, and SIBO.
Yeah.
So sorry.
Well, the first thing, I don't know if they've got a note. I don't know if they've got a GI map, but if it's been a few months, I'm going to want to get a fresh one. And if it's been a competitor, Doctor's Data, Genova, they're not as good as what I showed you today. I've tested all the companies. These are the best. So if you haven't had these specific ones, the first step, get in at the discounted price with Shivan. You're literally not going to be able to get these labs cheaper anywhere else period, plain and simple. So at least start there and then let me take a look. Your first month access, join me on the group call. Let me take a look at your labs. Let's see what the heck's going on. I'll look at your existing protocol and see. I'm sure we can fine tune it. I mean, most people have been to literally 15, 20 practitioners, including functional med, before they get to me. I'm usually the end of the rope. I'm used to that kind of pressure. I kind of like that pressure, so I'm not afraid.
Okay. How long do you have access to the course if you're not paying monthly? Do you still keep the bonuses?
So we didn't even mention it, but the Candida Summit we will give as a bonus as well. That's my talk
Oh,
with
nice.
20 plus, maybe 30 doctors. I forget how many people we interviewed. So the bonus course, the Candida Summit, you can just have forever. The Better Belly program and the Sick Building Solutions, those are while you're enrolled because I'm adding new content. So if you're not part
Okay.
of the group, then you lose them.
Okay. But
But some people
you have
just
1 month.
join them. They siphon as much as they can. It's the reality of humans. I'm not judging them. They
Yes.
siphon as much as they can and then they cancel, which, whatever.
Okay. Then they don't continue on. Are the live calls at scheduled times? What if you can't make the call?
Yes, they are scheduled. My staff is amazing. We typically notify you a week or two in advance, but typically they're on a Monday. So just FYI, day of the week, typically it's Monday. It's in the ballpark of 10 to 12 Central, and that just kind of depends on my clinic schedule. But it's a pretty
Okay.
good time because people on the East Coast, it's around their lunchtime. People on the West Coast, it's their breakfast time. So it's working pretty good. And those calls are they're they're fun. I mean, it's
This
if
is
if you want to buzz, that's a free buzz right there.
okay. Paulette, are the labs covered by the 797? Yes,
They
that's
are.
what makes, so I'm so glad you asked it in that way because that's what makes it such a huge deal. So I just had my husband's oat test done and it's 350, it's up there. I can't remember how much it was right this second, but that's included here. You're getting the oat test included. The GI map, another like $300 approximately. So this is a really good deal when you consider you're also getting the access to the better belly, access to the healthy home, and you're also getting the 2 calls with Evan. Even if you only do it for the month, like obviously I want you to stay on longer so you can get more support, but that's a screaming deal. It's a screaming deal. Okay, but Mars, hey, beside the oat test, do you test for home environmental toxins?
Yeah, so the Petri dishes that I showed you, you guys can
Mhm.
order those. My staff can help you if you have any questions, but we can get those plates for $3 a piece. Or if you want to do the lab analysis, it's around $30 a piece. So you could test an average size home for 150 bucks.
And how does it work for people in other countries? Hi, Sharon.
So the shipping is a little bit different. There are some international shipping fees. It's not much, maybe an extra $100. The best way would be to just email us. So Shivan, if you'll put my email in the chat,
Yes. Hold on,
uh,
go ahead.
just do
Office
office@evanbrand.com.
at evanbrand.com.
Send my staff a note and we'll look into what country because there's different rules, different regulations. We have distributors in Hong Kong, we got distributors in Australia, we got Mexico, we got Canada. I mean, I'm a worldwide practitioner, so I'm sure we can help. We just need to figure it out. Sometimes we're paying these labs in pesos, we're paying in Hong Kong currency. It's
Oh, that's
crazy, but
interesting.
we're going the mile to make it work. So
Leah, are your Petri dishes different than what I can get at Lowe's?
I don't know. I don't know what they have at Lowe's.
Okay. Can you say the names of the companies that do the tests again?
Yeah, so it's called the organic acids. We use Mosaic, and the GI map is Diagnostic Solutions.
Is the annual 20% off as well?
I
That's a
don't
good,
know. I don't know if we plugged it in like that. That'd be
that's a great
cool.
question.
I can check.
Okay. How do you test for heavy metals?
So you can do metals in a lot of ways. Some people argue that you can do hair. Some people argue that you can do urine. I don't run a lot of heavy metals testing anymore. I've done it years ago, but here's the reality. Do you want to spend another 300, 400, 500 bucks for me to tell you I'm going to give you the same binder anyway? Or do you want to just save your money for the protocol to get you better? So everyone on this planet that I've tested in the last decade has some level of metals, whether that's mercury, cadmium, lead, arsenic. And so the protocols I create work on metals. And so, yeah, that's my opinion.
We're going to look and see if the annual is 20% off.
It doesn't look like it is. No, I'd have to run the numbers on it, but no,
Uh,
currently there is no coupon code on the yearly.
you're still saving about 500 bucks. If we've done the math right, it's still a
Yeah.
savings. I'm going to leave it at that. Okay. Could you clarify what you meant when you said you can run a mycotox test, but you don't have to? Why not, if I may ask?
Yeah, sure, sure. Well, it's just a matter of budget, sanity, all that, right? So, I mean, some people, they have no budget, and that's awesome. Let's do the Micah. We can add it on. It's a few $100. We can add it on to this plan. You would go through, you'd order, use Shivan's coupon code, go ahead and order. And then my staff will coordinate with you. We'll get your date of birth. We'll get your shipping address. We'll get all that basic info to get the labs to you ASAP. And then you could just reply in there to your order. Hey, I want to add the Myco. We'll bill you for the difference. I'm just saying for this particular deal, for this price, if you want to get this good of a deal, these are the best bang for your buck labs, but we can always add on. If you want to add metals, sure, I'll do it. You want to add hormones, sure, I'll do it. But I want to get you the most amount of data for the least amount of money, which is why I didn't make a Myco a standard part of this test, because the oat gives us such good information on mold anyway.
Okay, I have only a couple of minutes left. April, have you used Matula tea for H. pylori? Gastromen mastica didn't reduce my daughter's H. pylori. I've heard great
Yeah.
things about that tea.
Yeah, so Matula is pretty cool. I've seen it fail. I've seen it work in isolation. I'm not a huge fan. I would definitely make a much more comprehensive protocol. And if it's the daughter, then the dad, the mom, everybody probably needs a protocol because it's highly contagious, H. pylori. So if you just treat the daughter, you're probably not going to win.
Okay. Any advice to convince a pulmonologist to treat aspergillus in lungs, even if nothing grows out on the bronchoscopy? I don't think if I said that right.
No, I mean, are you going to wait for, if you're waiting for your conventional doctor to do what you want them to do, you're going to be dead before they do it. So my advice is just have them on the back burner in case there's something catastrophic you need, but seek out someone like me that has the functional knowledge where we can get antifungals into the body and help
And
resolve it.
what's your opinion about Horapito over itraconazole?
I don't use any prescriptions. I haven't needed them, so I use herbs.
Okay. Um, April, so you don't use Pectosol C for metals, but rather binders used for mycotoxin?
Pectosol would still be considered a binder,
Yeah.
and we do use a blend that has fulvic acid, it has pectin, it has aloe vera. So yeah, we use all of it.
Would the cost go down if I just had a 360 GI map test done? I'd love to join
No,
the group.
GI 360 is
Yeah.
not as good.
Okay. Are the herbs included in the package? No. Or sold separately? Yes. And you may have some at home already. And then how do you help people get the herbs at a good price?
Yeah, so I've got a full script account,
Okay.
professional distributor. We've got dozens and dozens of professional brands that we use: Pure Encapsulations, Clear Labs, Integrative Therapeutics, Designs for Health, yada yada. So depending on what's going on with people, I'll design and build a protocol based on that. So there may be 5 or 6 things that you're doing, but it's never going to be 20.
Could you have that high of aspergillus just by breathing in spores from leaves and dirt? I completely agree. This is a national health crisis.
Yeah, I years ago when I was really ill and I'd go for a walk in the woods in Kentucky after a rain and just go through the wet leaf litter, I felt terrible.
Mm,
So I don't know. Good question, hard to prove. How would we prove it?
okay, right. Okay. Do you use cell core supplements, designs for health?
I do not use Cellcore.
Okay, we're gonna move on. I just don't want to like get into brands that are, controversial. Some people love it. Moving on. Can he quickly explain why GI 360 is not as good? Same
It's just
category.
not it's just not as accurate. It's missing infections. I've had people run them side by side. The GI map is showing more infections.
Okay. So Evan is very much an expert. Like if you're constipated from doing binders, he's going to help you get things moving. Like that is one of his obsessions. Are the calls recorded? I think so. I had that question and didn't.
They are not. It's too controversial. I don't want to be suicided, so no. We
Okay,
talk about a lot of stuff that's not allowed to be on the airwaves.
there you go. Will organic acid tests show markers for hypoxia as a result of long COVID?
No. I mean, we'll look at mitochondrial stuff, but I mean, measuring low oxygen, there's no biomarkers on the oat test. I mean, there's certainly the issue with the mitochondria that you'll see. We'll measure the whole Krebs cycle metabolites on the oat, but no, there's no indication of oxygen on there.
What's your opinion of Biome FX? I had a GI map that didn't catch anything.
Look, I'm open to everything. I'll take a look. Some people shoot it over in the group. My
Yeah.
staff organizes these folders very beautifully. So it'll say, July 8th call. I'll look at all these people in the group for that day, and then we'll look at what they've sent over. I'll look at anything. Look, any false negative, I don't like those. But if I see a positive, that helps me. So, I mean, I'm open to it. It's just I've got some of my biases based on running all these
Okay.
labs.
All right, I'm going to be totally indulgent for a second. Here's my cutie pie husband's lab.
Oh, let's see it. Let me make it bigger here. Okay, so he's got mold colonization. Number 6, tartaric acid is a problem. Number 7, he's got candida overgrowth. He's got a lot of Clostridia on number 16. So
Yeah,
I
I
would
saw it.
expect his mood to be wacky. This is going to mess up his mood. Is he going
Yeah.
crazy or no? Be honest.
Um, it's no, he's not going crazy, but he
Okay.
doesn't feel quite right. I'll
Yeah, I
leave it at
believe
that.
it. I believe it. That's a hell of a lot of HPHPA. So, in kids that we see on the spectrum, they always have elevated HPHPA.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, so what else we got? And then it's just okay. Look
Let's
at this
keep
fun
looking.
stuff.
Okay, so mitochondria, not bad. Serotonin's real high. Is he taking anything? Is he on an SSRI or anything?
Yep, yep, yep.
Okay, so that'll do that. Dopamine, meh. Endorphins, so-so. Let's keep going. Nutrient levels, like everybody else, vitamin C's toast, number 54. You see the B6 is far too low. CoQ10's too low, so he definitely needs. I've got a formula called Mito Boost that we could give him, and we could get this up because this is all too low. He needs to be over here.
Yeah, he doesn't. He does feel low energy.
Yeah,
Like,
I see it.
yeah. And then
Toxic exposure, not bad. So this is the gut bacteria here, number 61. So gut bacteria will drive up this hydroxyapuric. That'll be fixed relatively quickly if we can just fix page 1. But page 1's his biggest priority. That Aspergillus, the Candida, we got to fix that.
okay, what are these right here? These metabolite.
Yeah, so those, which it's kind of silly, but as you see here in the fine print, it says low values, not associated with inadequate protein, not demonstrated to have amino acid deficiencies. Long story short, the lab adds these, but they don't really help us clinically. So,
Okay, and
yeah.
there it is. Okay, thank you for indulging me on that. I
Oh
really
yeah, yeah.
appreciate
I'll actually make a protocol for him real quick,
it.
and
Okay,
I'll email it over to you, and then we
okay,
can
great.
coordinate,
Thank
and
you.
yeah,
Three more questions and then we're gonna go. I
go
appreciate
for it.
it. I also wanted y'all to see like how fast he is, and so that was like a double-edged sword. Thank you. Ashwagandha affects thyroid, which I am on meds for. Can you have personal workarounds in the
Oh
group?
yeah,
Yeah,
easy.
Janet. That's why he's doing group. Okay, that is exactly why he's doing it. Sue, what's the best way to get multiple family members tested?
Yeah, so when you go to the checkout page, there's a box at the bottom that says add a family member. If it's more than one family member, just do the email because that's going to be easier. But if you go to the checkout page, which I'll show you real quick,
Okay.
if you go to enroll, okay, you'll put in the coupon code, bam,
Bam.
okay, and then you get down here, you can add on the family
Ah,
member. You'll
nice.
just check that
Okay.
box.
Okay.
And then once again, my staff will confirm. We'll get date of birth, shipping addresses. If you got a family member in another state or whatever, that'll all be taken care of.
And then they can they come to the monthly Q&As as well?
Yes, they can. And actually, sometimes I shoot myself in the foot for doing this, but hey, I don't care because sometimes we have a family member under one subscription with 5 kids. So there's 6 people
Oh my
only
gosh.
paying 197 a month,
Oh my.
which is fine, but it's kind of crazy.
For the family.
And
Yeah.
then I'm just bang, bang, bang. So it's like hit the mom, do the kid, do the other kid, do the other kid. It's pretty insane.
If you use Shivan, will that also give you the discount on the family member edition?
It won't, but we can do it. We can
Okay.
do it. We'll honor it.
Email them at office@evanbrand.com. Like, this is not about trying to get you, right?
Yeah,
It's just
just
like
just email and just say,
multi-complication
yeah,
checkout stuff if you want a ton of people. And of course, use the coupon. Okay. Hubby has mold, candida, and is cryptopyrrole and high
yeah.
blood pressure over age 60. Should he have mycotox repeat if he works with you?
Just get the oat and get the GI. Let's start there.
And yeah.
So
So,
here's a protocol, Siobhan. I made this for David, right?
okay. Yes.
So I made this real quick. So just to show y'all how efficient I am, I wrote the notes here. He had aspergillus, he had candida, his nutrient levels were low. And so my electrolytes have extra vitamin C. I want him doing a scoop of that. Adaptogenic herbs because his energy looks tanked.
Yep.
Mito boost because mitochondria need a little help. Nutrient levels are kind of low. That's got CoQ10 and nutrients. Herbal antifungal for the mold and the candida. There's also a nasal spray that I can get you. Saccharomyces to fix the yeast. Low histamine probiotics. That's going to help with the mold.
Totally.
And then a binder. I'm just going to say 1 for now, but we'll probably bump it up. So
Okay.
I'll text that or airdrop it or whatever to you. I'll get that to
Thank you.
you.
I
But
appreciate it.
but we should do it.
Okay, thank you. The coupon code is my name. It's Shivan, Shivan. And so if I sign up, when would the first call take place? Great question.
My calendar is right here. I will tell you. I want to say Let me just confirm here. And we have a lab, we have a follow-up day coming up soon too, upon popular recommendations. So all the existing students are like, hey, we want to follow up and like what's better, what's not, how do we tweak, how do we fine tune?
I
So
like
that's
that.
coming up too. So next Monday, July 14th is the next call. And
Okay.
then the follow-up day, which people can chime in, they're not obligated to, but you're welcome to join. It's on July 22nd. That's the follow-up day where we're going to be diving into protocols.
Okay. So if you're signed up, if you sign up now, you're basically getting that extra follow-up call in
Yep.
that first month. Okay.
Hmm.
Oh, Leah, I'm so glad that my husband's information was helpful. He did not sign a HIPAA release and he doesn't know I just did that, but I will tell him later and it will be fine. Okay. If value still if SIBO and Candida in hand, house demolded back, but MCTD and possible lupus.
I'm kind of lost on that one, Shivan.
Yeah. Are you asking like, will it be valuable if you still have SIBO and Candida?
Of course.
Retype that. Oh yeah, Leah's like, no, my husband's great, obviously, but because he's my sweetie pie. But I didn't know I was going to do that. He'll be like, oh, fine, whatever, let's fix it. Okay. Value still of SIBO and Candida in hand, house demolded, but MCTD and possible lupus.
All I heard is lupus, and so you need to look at your gut because lupus can be triggered by bacteria in the gut. So at
Son of a
least get the
gun.
labs.
Okay, yeah, right. And show up to those calls and then, get the
Yes.
support that you need. Okay. Y'all, thank you so much, Evan. That was fantastic.
Oh, thanks, Siobhan. My pleasure. I'm happy that everybody stayed too. So,
Yeah, me too. And also, I really appreciate it. Like when Evan said he doesn't do this with other people, like he really doesn't do this with other people. Like you're not finding this offer, you're not finding this like one-on-one with him in a webinar, like like he does it just for us. So I really appreciate it. I want to acknowledge that and say thank you. And thanks to your crew and your team. They're fantastic. And we wish everyone the very, very best. We'll send out the replay tonight. If you do order by 8 p.m. tonight, you'll also get Evan's slides. You do need to email us at info@sibosos.com with proof of purchase for that. That might not be a big deal to anybody. If it is, great. And either way, it's a great value and a great opportunity to continue to support your health. And we really love and appreciate you. Good, Leah. Okay. Oh, yep. We feel the love and the gratitude. Yep. Excellent. Love you guys. Take care. We'll see you next time. Bye, Evan.
see
Thanks.
y'all.
Okay. Bye.